What's up, everybody? This is like the 6th time we've done this. So this is Elizabeth. I'm Joe.
Woo!
For a ride to the greenhouse.
Woo!
But before we get to the greenhouse, check out this plot of mint we got here. What all we got in here, babe?
We've got chocolate mint, there's a spearmint, and peppermint, which we like to just pick the leaves. You can do them fresh, boil them in water, or dehydrate them, get you some fresh herbal teas. It's actually really good for what, the digestion process, babe?
That's right, digestion. This is a Floribunda rose that we planted last year. It was a little bitty guy when we put them in there, but it's put on a lot of growth since last year. It's already got a couple buds here going.
It sure does, right there. Need a mate. I think that's what it is. Come here, Tom.
We're still on the way to the greenhouse. Haven't made it there just yet. Check out the pond. We put in the pond, what, 2 years ago, I think? We dug it out a little bit this last year with an excavator we got our hands on. So I think we've got about maybe 12 to 14 feet in some areas. It's not super deep, but it's pretty deep in some areas. A lot of the areas are really only about 4 feet probably. Here's our duck house. We have no ducks right now though, because of coons. We're getting that sorted out, so we'll get ducks again soon. It's hard to have a pond without ducks. They just go hand in hand, and you just gotta have them. On to the greenhouse. Still on the way to the greenhouse. I forgot. We have a small patch of potatoes we put in. We did potatoes for the first time last year, and we got some. It wasn't as much as we would have liked, but this year we're hoping to get a whole lot more.
Thank you.
We just mounded everything up yesterday, so you can't really see any of the greens at the moment, but hopefully we'll get a lot more than last year. I think we got about half a 5-gallon bucket. We didn't do a whole lot. It was a little bit less than this. They ended up waterlogged, so we learned a little last year. Tom, always doing his thing.
Come here, buddy.
Here's one of our cutting roses that we put in last year. I think this is either Imperial or Chrysler. I think. It's supposed to be a crimson red rose. One of the ones you would normally use for cutting. Got some gladiolas that go across the back. We have a native Nandina. We dug this up off the property and just transplanted it here.
And it's actually got some babies growing down off the bottom.
Sure does. This is how these guys spread by rhizome from the ground. So what we can do is come in here and just dig some of these up. We can pot them up, share them with friends, or put them somewhere else on the property.
And that was the cat.
We have another cutting rose. Now this one is called Mr. Lincoln. This is one of our favorites. It only bloomed a few times last year, but this year it looks like it's going to be a different story. Look at all that red growth. It's beautiful.
And these have the big, beautiful, deep red, long stem roses.
That's right. Very fragrant as well. Okay guys, still making our way to the greenhouse. Wanted to show you all this. Believe this is some tabletop vervain, purple tabletop vervain. When we first started getting into plants, we were starting seeds left and right, all kinds of stuff. This was one of the ones we started. It was a little more difficult to start. This requires a cold stratification. It's not a difficult process. It's just some seeds, need something like that before they'll sprout. So they require a little bit more effort. And this is one of those. this plant just kind of popped up here on its own. We're going to leave it because it's actually a medicinal plant. Vervain, I believe, is typically used for like as a sedative. So
Medicinal.
yeah, we know some people that may be interested in that. We might look into maybe making a tincture. Maybe we'll make a video.
And that's it. All right, let's round the corner.
The bridge. Here's a big old cedar that was dying on us, so we chose to just go ahead and top it and use it as a really large trellis specimen, and it's worked out really good. We found these beans called a hyacinth bean, and they are super vigorous. They easily climb to the top of this once they get going, and then it's just a flower show like no other. I've got some pictures I'll dig up, maybe get some online for you guys.
And the bees love it.
Yeah, that's right, the bees love this thing. Tom following us as usual.
Mm-hmm.
All right, finally into the greenhouse. Okay guys, some areas are more prepared than others. We change our minds about every 5 minutes on plans on what we want to do in here. When we first started getting into plants, we weren't really into food. We were into just anything that piqued our interest, anything that was wild and crazy, something we'd never seen before. And so this, you know, it went from a hobby of collecting plants to realizing that, you know, if we were going to have a plant, it needed to maybe give something back to us. And that's kind of how we feel about things now. We do have some plants that we keep on hand that are just, you know, we love them, so we'll always have them. We've got some English peas that I put in early. Well, I say early, later than I should have. A little later than January, but they're doing pretty good. We've got a couple blooms down here at the end. I think we get just slightly more sun down here. Soon, hopefully, we'll be getting more blooms like that and peas to follow. Alongside it, we had a mesclun mix growing. We've already had to pull all of the arugula out because it grew so rapid. They call it arugula rocket for a reason. It was up and out of here in no time. So it was delicious while we had it. It's got a very unique flavor. I don't know how to describe it, but we still kind of pick on this, make sandwiches and whatnot, you know, small salads, side dishes for dinner and whatnot. Just kind of curve around. Oh, well, here we go. We got carrots. They haven't really done their thing yet. They're still seedlings. They're kind of hard to spot. See if I can find one for you guys. I believe it's hard to see. Where is it at? That's one. That little guy right there. They're scattered everywhere. I just can't see them on the camera to show y'all. But I think, I don't know, it's not working out. They're in there though, I promise you. Hey bear. Hey bear. Yep. Tom's still following. Turkey in the greenhouse. This is our Brussels sprouts. We've got 3 or 4 plants we grew from seed. We've never grown it, so typically what we do is we'll grow a few to watch for ourselves the growing process, and we learn from it. And then the next season what we'll do is we'll figure out how and where we want to plant them, determining, you know, depending on how everything went. Look at these things. So far it's been a really cool plant, really pretty. In there in between is where the Brussels sprouts form, and they'll start from the bottom and go up. Let me see if I can get in here. Look at that, guys. Look at those. There goes Bear Bear again. But we're excited about those. Probably not going to be enough for too many meals. But like I said, next year we'll probably plant more of them. They're perennials, and so probably when summer hits we'll cut these off and they'll go dormant until the fall probably. At least that's what I think will happen. This is the oregano y'all saw in the other videos. We harvest this, we keep it on hand for many reasons. Number one reason would be for the oil of oregano. We always have it on hand. It's antiviral and antibacterial. So I recommend anybody that's watching this to get you some oregano for that specific reason. And there's a lot of other reasons other than that. I mean, obvious reasons, it's a good seasoning. And then oh yeah, definitely. So something maybe also some of y'all don't know, all the bad bugs, or most of the bad bugs, can't stand oregano and a lot of the other herbs as well. But since oregano has so many good values that we admire it for, we chose to keep a whole bunch of oregano. And so one could maybe plant a bunch of oregano around your gardens to help deter the bad pests. This is our bell pepper that we wanted to try to overwinter, and it looks like it worked out pretty good. It's actually got some flowering going on. But we're probably going to just go ahead and pinch those off because it really hasn't grown too much yet. We need to get some more growth on this. So we'll pinch those off here soon. Get some more growth out of that. We got this wagon here. We planted some cilantro seeds and most of them came up. It's one of our favorite herbs. Really love the smell of cilantro. It smells so good. Yep, you know, you guessed it. Tom. Hey babe.
Hey babe. Hey guys.
We've got our lime tree. We've actually had this for a year now. Hey Monk. It's Monkey. He's our garden guardian. He follows us around all the time in the garden.
And there's bees already pollinating the flowers over there.
Is it really?
Yes.
We have bees in the greenhouse. I believe that's some parsley that is bolting and flowering. We'll get some seeds off of that. But anyhow, this is, like I was saying, this is our lime tree. We've had it for a year. We finally got that in the ground. Got it nice and pruned up for the greenhouse. This is a banana tree. What kind is it?
That's a plantation.
Plantation.
Those are smaller and they're a little bit more sweeter than your normal.
So this banana tree won't get quite as tall as some other ones. Look
but
at
it's the largest. What is it?
yeah, something some people might not know about banana trees. It's actually known as a herb. That's right. It's one of the largest herbs grown. But look at this. It's kind of got this burgundy with a dark green. It's really pretty. This back here is kind of a dangerous plant. That's why it's tucked back here in the back. I think the scientific name is a Brugmansia. It's also called a tulip tree, I believe.
Oh, nice. We've already got strawberries.
We have strawberries?
We've got a strawberry.
We have a strawberry apparently.
We've got a
We used to have
couple
a lot more strawberry plants. We lost most of them. This is one that is hung in, and apparently, look at that, we got some strawberries, y'all.
A little deformed, but first.
And we'll take what we can get. I'm sure it'll get better as the season goes on. Okay, Tom, You gotta get out, bud. You're in the garden now. Mega tum tum.
Oh, the aloe vera. Look at the aloe.
Okay. Yeah. This is our aloe vera. We keep this here in case anybody gets any burns or something like that. It's blooming. We've never seen one bloom, so this will be new for us too. I think they bloom in pink, but maybe white and yellow as well. We'll try to get some pictures of this as soon as it blooms for you guys.
This looks very similar to asparagus spears as well.
It kind of does. Tom, boy.
Come here, bud. Come on.
Okay, over here, these wooden stakes here, we're gonna actually try to grow some squash vertically this year. We've seen a few people do it online, and thought that was pretty cool. I've never seen that before, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm really excited about that. We love squash, but it's always just rampant all over the ground. I built these trellises here out of greenhouse number 2 material that we salvaged. It was 1-inch PVC that was all kind of just deformed, and you know, it was bent in the shape of a hoop. So we repurposed that, made us a couple of trellises here. We'll see how that goes. We've got pole beans planted at the bottom. In the background here, we've got Russian kale. It's been the most reliable kale that we've grown. And it's also, from what I understand, a perennial. At least it is here in the greenhouse. This thing is just ever producing. You can't get rid of it. You can't eat it all. So, in some of those spots in between where I've got things planted, I've got some carrots just kind of scattered in there, just open seeded. We'll see where they go. Got a couple of patches of Swiss chard. That one there.
The Swiss chard, you guys, it really is so good. It's actually sister to the spinach family, I think, or in the spinach family.
Yeah, I believe so. It's a good alternative to spinach. And honestly, guys, I can't grow spinach, so the Swiss chard has grown good for us. And I think that's just what we'll do instead of spinach. Maybe some of y'all can do better at spinach than me. I can't grow the stuff. This is a couple of heads of cabbage. I believe this is the Copenhagen variety. They look amazing. Thinking about doing some stuffed cabbage, or maybe some sauerkraut. Circling on around to the left. This is a plant my father gave me. I don't remember what it's called now. But it's supposed to be some kind of like a potato bush. It's supposed to have like purple flowers. We really like the color purple around here. Check out the purple oxalis. It's in the shamrock family. Just dappled underneath our bottle brush tree. It's not native to this area. It's kind of a tropical deal. But seems to have made it through our winter. Can't wait to see this bloom. We haven't got to see it yet. It's supposed to have really large crimson bottle brushes. We have rosemary here. Rosemary is another one of those herbs that you should all try to keep on hand.
Oh, it's
supposed to be good for your hair, I believe, if you make tinctures and stuff like that with it.
smells so good.
And yeah, it smells really, really good. We love cooking with it, all that good stuff. So nothing better than fresh right out of the garden. There's monk. We have all kinds of Boston ferns. I had 2 large Boston ferns, and last year I split them all up and ended up with about 20 or 25 different plants, and we took about 10 of those and we put about 5 on each side, and they have just spread. Something maybe, I don't know, maybe some people might know stuff about ferns, but Boston ferns in particular don't propagate themselves like typical ferns. They're actually spread by root ribosomes like a lot of other plants. Most ferns actually will develop spores on the back sides of their leaves and drop that, and then the whole process ensues. But it's a lot different. Boston ferns are something, you know, that people like to have, but they don't typically make it through winter unless maybe they're in a greenhouse. So here is the pond. This is one of our favorite parts about our greenhouse. Look at those. That white one there, you can see it. Where's it at? There it is. It's an angel koi fish. Or a butterfly koi, that's right. Butterfly koi. So we've got 2 or 3 koi, and then the rest are goldfish. We've experimented with other types of fish, but the koi and goldfish are the only fish that can really make it in a pond that's unheated. In the greenhouse, we do a little heating in here, but it's a really large area, so we can't keep it super warm. The water typically gets down to about 50, 55 degrees, something like that, and a lot of fish just can't survive that. So we learned the hard way, unfortunately. It was kind of sad a few times. But anyways, the pond, not only is it just, you know, obviously for entertainment, it's cool to have, actually serves more of a larger purpose. The water here acts like a thermal battery. So what happens is during the day, the water absorbs energy or heat. And then throughout the night, when the temperature drops, the heat that the water has absorbed will start to release. And so exactly, it's not a heater. You could consider it more of a temperature buffer. It's just going to slow the rate of temperature change. And here at Texas, you know, we don't really have a bad winter, so if you can kind of slow the rate of temperature change, you can typically make it through freezing temperatures all the time without even running a heater in here. It does get cold, but everything for the most part has the frost protection, and that's really what does most of the damage a lot of times. These are some native elephant ears. They do not come back from bulbs. Okay, these are crazy.
And this is one of my favorites right here, is the canna.
Yeah, and here we got a dark purple canna with a red bloom. Super pretty. It made seeds last year. We harvested them. We stuck them in random places all over the property. We're hoping those will pop up one day. They're really large, hard seeds, so I would assume it might take more than 1 year. This is a yellow canna here that would eventually bloom. It's just in the process right now. Really cool looking. What else we got in here? We have, this is bougainvillea right here. Obviously more ferns. Some more oxalis. And no guys, I didn't buy all this stuff. Almost all of this, you know, obviously we just had to buy some. We started with some, we got some from family. But once you own stuff like this for a little while, if you do your time and take care of it, it'll multiply for you. At least a lot of things will. This here is a Mexican petunia. This is another one of those plants that you can get and will just give back to you forever. Spreads by rhizome, extremely easily propagated by cuttings. In some states they're not even allowed because they grow so easily. Back corner here we have a small area of asparagus we put in maybe a year and a half ago. Need to get in there and cut those off. We're still kind of waiting on those to get a little thicker. I think they're getting close. My biggest complaint so far with asparagus is I can't ever get it to all come up at the same time so that I can harvest it and make a meal out of it, but maybe it just needs another year. There's a whole bunch of seeds that I started, and our spring is just flying by. So they're not going to go in the ground. We're just going to repurpose that dirt.
You've got a fern. Fern.
See, this is a clear example. Random Boston fern, just in the greenhouse floor. Thank you, fern. I would dig you up and give you to a friend. Started some artichoke this year. I've honestly never had artichoke. Considered buying it a few times in the store. After I looked up recipes, it looks like a whole lot of work and not a whole lot of food, but it's a perennial, so we're going to grow one, keep a couple here in the greenhouse. Because it's just something, again, it's one of those things you can plant at one time and keep it, and you know, get the harvest off of it year after year.
And the asparagus is doing really well, Tom.
Tom, buddy,
Come on.
I know we're not using those, but
Come on, buddy.
I don't need you stomping them down. You gotta go, bro.
Come on. He's like, I
This
want
is
your
what he
attention.
does. He just follows
Your
us
attention.
everywhere. This is a Kimberly fern. They're a little different than a Boston fern. I got these from a guy late summer. We had a really hot summer last year. It was a drought. And I got both of those for $10. They were massive, but he just was tired of watering them. It was just so hot, so I took them off his hands. I mean, how could you not? $10 for both of those ginormous ferns? Come on. So eventually I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to unpot them and probably split them up to as many times as I can, repot them all, and then boom, $10 and you got a whole bunch of them. And the cool thing about Kimberly ferns is here in Texas, most of the time they will survive outside. So we'll see. Don't quote me on that. Stay tuned. Lots of Boston ferns that need weeded and the last year's growth taken out. These are ones that we've just separated and still haven't planted somewhere or given to somebody. There's banana tree.
More banana trees.
And more banana trees over there. We'll get to them in a second. This area over here is not quite as organized as other areas. It's kind of the catch-all until we figure out exactly what our plans are. Probably going to put some more permanent beds in. We're just deciding where and what. So there's another banana tree of a different variety. And this one here is just making tons of little babies of itself, and we'll dig and split those up soon. Some aloe vera that came off the one I showed you earlier. Again, one of those plants that, you know, you buy one, you start getting more. You just take care of it.
And then this, guys, this right here, clover. We normally don't like to weed it out, but sometimes just when stuff's being replanted, we like to give it, you know, its space. But this right here, this is clover. It comes natural around here in our area, but it will feed your plants nitrogen. It is excellent for your plants.
That's true. Clover is a legume, or in the legume family, and the root system will develop nodules that when the plant, well, at some point, the plant starts to release nitrogen back into the soil. Just like your beans and peas and stuff like that. They're really good. Clover is not really a bad thing to have on your property. You know, a lot of us thought that we needed a really clean yard with nothing but one type of grass in it, and that's actually not a healthy yard. Clover is there because your yard is lacking nitrogen. That's why it shows up. Mother Nature knows what it's doing, y'all. Check this out. This is my favorite banana tree. We put this in last spring and it grew to 7 foot tall in one season from the first year we planted it. So it's had a whole year now in the ground. There's no telling how long or how tall this thing's gonna get. I'm hoping I hope it reaches the ceiling. We got 13 feet in here, so I think they can get up to 20. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Last week, you see these pots here on the edge? Yeah, Those are banana trees, or they will be. And they came off of this right here. I took them off last week. It's already got 2 more popping back up. Isn't that amazing? Look how big the trunk on this thing was last year.
And I could literally like stand up underneath the lead branches on it. It was so
Yeah,
tall.
it was like Jungle Book.
And I'm 5'2". I'm not that tall. But
She's not very
still,
tall.
That's amazing for an herb.
It was very tropical feeling. It was neat. Some ferns we cleaned up. Still need another week or 2 before I can put them out on a porch. Can't wait for that. The porch looks bare. This is the last corner of the greenhouse, and it just has a couple tables set up with our tomatoes and peppers. We don't start everything by seed. We just do certain things. For instance, we do the squash here I passed up. This is zucchini. That'll be some habaneros. We don't need so many of those, but it's one of my favorite hot ones. We got the straight neck yellow squash, lots of that. And then we have 1 tray of the green acorn squash. And then yeah, she wanted to show us this. It's
ants in it.
full of ants, but
we are gonna have to.
This is a pineapple plant or tree. So
We're gonna have to
we'll see what happens with it.
wash it out.
Anyways, we do jalapenos, bell peppers, Roma tomatoes, and beefsteak tomatoes. So that's pretty much all we have up here on these tables is those. This is the last corner of the greenhouse, and it is a small patch of lettuce that we were picking off of that has now bolted because the temperatures have risen. And so instead of going ahead and pulling this out and replanting this area, we're going to go ahead and let this stay, and it's going to seed once it gets pollinated, and we're going to collect the seeds for next year so that we don't have to buy no more. Because who wants to buy more seeds if you don't have to? This plant was awesome. We had so much delicious lettuce.
That was the butter crunch.
Butter crunch lettuce. Yep.
Like a crispy,
Very crisp.
full of flavor.
And so it's bolted now, and this thing is every bit of 4 foot tall. I had no idea it would get that tall. Really cool. So
Homegrown food is the best.
homegrown food, y'all. Alrighty. That's pretty much it, y'all. I mean, I might have skipped over a few things, but we can always make another one later on whenever spring gets here finally. It's almost here. So anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll try to make another one soon. Bye for now.